All right. I've come on here because I'm so tired of hearing the news talk about a group of people that are following an alleged source that has some very high level clearance in the government with truthers that have been on board for 20 plus years at this point. Because there are certain aspects of our lives where we question more than the average individual, the average obey the law, rule following Karens out there. Those mask wearers that are breathing in all their exhaust and quite possibly damaging their lungs and their brains and their bodies while they trust so loyally trusting the government. It's just, come on now. You know, the government has lied to us time and time again, and they will continue to lie as long as it's in their best interest. They've experimented on the public, like, the Tuskegee experiment, where Bill Clinton came out when he served his time in office to apologize for those experiments done by the government, not knowing that one of the men that were experimented on was still alive. And boy, did that turn out bad for the government, because they had to pay for it after they openly admitted to it in in public. So we know that they've lied and experimented on us. There's another instance where some kind of airborne pathogen or some kind of chemical was sprayed out on the bay, San Francisco Bay, and the draft carried back, and it made people of San Francisco sick, like urinary tract infections and headaches and stuff like that. So we know the government lies and experiments on us and have done so for decades. We know that their left hand, the news media, has lied about all sorts of things, including, everything that we're experiencing right now. And of course, each individual network has their own bias and spin on their narrative. And I call it narrative because that's what it is. It's not truth. It's not information. It's a narrative that the government has issued okay for them to propagate, and we are to follow along and believe them as though they're telling us the truth. And we know better. We know that the government allows corporations to come in and, modify our lives, modify our medical industry, modify our food. And we know that some of this food is not safe. We know that, like, processed foods are not safe, and they're packed with all kinds of ingredients that you can't even read. And our medicines are tampered with. Not to mention, they're just ineffective. Allopathic medicine has not made the world a better place. I mean, look around you. And Sanjay Gupta is sitting there saying, well, the 6% bullshit, well, 45% of our nation's citizens have pre-existing conditions and comorbidities that would cause them to have a compromised immune system. So right then and there, he's admitting to being a failed doctor, and the American Medical Association has completely failed us. It's nothing. It's not making anybody healthy. It just treats a problem that causes another problem. The treatments that are for one problem affect another problem. So, you know, you go in for like arthritis and they give you a drug that then messes with, your nerves and or your respiratory, because you're seeing a doctor for arthritis and he's making business for somebody that does respiratory. He specializes in that. So it's a big money racket. And, the news helps them keep on going with their pharmaceutical drug commercials. And then entails if that drug caused you any kind of side effects, fatally or not, to you or your loved ones, you can call this attorney now and get compensation. So the news is propping up pharma, and pharma is propping up doctors, and then pharma's giving attorneys work too. So everybody wins except for you when it comes to allopathic medicine. And we're not a healthier nation because of it. So we know the government lies. We know our media is corrupt and works for the government and the pharmaceutical companies. And then we know that, we're eating frankenfoods and genetically modified and processed foods that are filled with chemicals that you can't read. You can't discern what they mean when you turn around, turn the box over and you're trying to read all these ingredients. And you can't go down the aisles of the store and find these ingredients unless you know what they are in their layman's terms. So you don't know it because it's all listed on the box with these weird, I don't even eat that anymore. So, I can't think of it, but I know that, corn syrup is not good, especially high fructose corn syrup, because the corn ain't good. It's all genetically modified with, different kinds of agents that make it, be able to withstand the Roundup spray that they put on it, and or their actual DNA has the pesticide in it that grows with the plant. We know all these things. We know that it cannot be good. France did studies on it that was growing tumors all over little lab rats and shit like that. And good on them, because a lot of countries don't allow Monsanto's and their genetically modified frankenfoods into their country. But, America, we're about that bottom line and all the things that we can get for less. I mean, it's not a question. They've been doing this for years and years and years in history, where they take milled grain and boost its weight with dirt and other things. That's why Marie Antoinette said, let them eat cake, when in actuality, she said, let them eat shit, because that's what's in the dirt that they fluffed up their flour and milled grain with. So we know that all these things that I just spoke about are not conspiracies. If we don't have all the information, we can just say it's theories, and theories are based on fact. Theories are based on this shred of evidence that we have that makes them something that we have to question. We don't have all the answers because they won't tell us their secrets, but we have evidence that points to these things being real. So we know that we've been experimented on, both mentally and physically, by our governments, by the food companies, by the news media that's corrupt and manipulating your emotions. You're just a tool if you're sitting there paying attention and feeling any kind of way about what the news is is dishing out and propagating. And another thing that is not a conspiracy is child trafficking, human trafficking in general. We know that this is real. We know that it happens. And I'm so tired of the news sitting there trying to make it out to be some far right sea theory about everything that's going on in Hollywood. Hollyweird, pedowood, all that shit that's going on out there. We know it's true. And the celebrities, they're crashing and burning and mentally collapsing as we speak. And they're putting it all over the internet, making themselves look like fools. And good for them. The silver screen is on fire and burning. The veil of all the magic and the lies of all the actors and actresses is being lifted. And we're all seeing them for what they're worth. And they ain't worth shit. That's why I don't have any kind of TV, no Netflix, no Hulu. Haven't had cable in like almost a decade, I believe. Yeah, it's been that long. So no poison in my mind from the media, unless it's something that I explicitly look up for a critical observation of what they're trying to propagate. I am not on it. But we know that child trafficking is real. I don't know why they're not making a big deal about it, because that would be the number one thing. And it would get ratings if that's what they're worried about. But fuck the election. Fuck the COVID. Let's get some real shit out there and some real awareness. And stop all these fools from sitting there trying to decry that we're crazy. Because we're not. Regardless of race or what you believe in spiritually, all this is happening around us. And again, people want to call those, us thinkers, us cognitive observers, they want to call us crazy for pointing this shit out and asking the question, why, who, they're crazy and sick mentally if they choose to ignore it. So while they're trying to push this crazy conspiracy theory, platform with that special group of people that are just good, nation-loving individuals that don't want big government and liars making all this money trying to propagate untruths and just sick, depraved shit. So just wanted to put that out there. We're not crazy. We're just observant. It's not a conspiracy when we know that there's a shred of truth that is involved in it. Those that want to call us crazy are just too afraid, and that's okay, because their minds can't handle it. But to those who can, thank you for listening. Thank you for pointing it out to those who don't see it. But again, don't get engaged with people that aren't mentally capable of handling this information. Just try and be subtle about it. And if those are interested, then share your knowledge and plant those seeds. But I just wanted to get that out there. Whoever cares, whoever wants to listen, just look a little deeper if you don't believe me. The truth will reveal itself to you. And I only say this with love and hope for the future of our children and for humanity at a whole. Thank you so much for listening, and you have a good day.